Welcome back to RotoMoto. It is finally race day again. The first of 3 in 8 days means another low edit video series with no face, but that means better audio as I get to use my podcast microphone instead. My name is Donnie, and in this video, I will give you 5 riders to look at when making your PulpMX fantasy picks for the first round in Atlanta, tips for picking FFLs, weather report, race day schedule, and a very early look at what my team could be on Saturday. But first, as always, we look at the stats and info from the previous round, which feels like eons ago, if I'm being honest. I don't even remember who I picked, so maybe we all actually need this refresher. Looking back to Arlington 3, 12,206 total players, of which 6,769 were of the paid championship league, both down slightly from the previous race, and I expect another major drop-off after this long layover. The perfect team for the night was 318, just slightly above average for the season high on the season. Add 30 points with 2 FFLs, and the highest possible was 348. This one was very pickable, with Justin Cooper and Ken Roczen being the 2 most picked options on the board, and those easy picks paid off in a big way. The median championship score was 186, meaning if you scored 187 or more, you did better than half of the paying field. Extra All-Stars selection was up again to 2.59, and this week it actually wasn't a terrible idea as we had the highest amount of 26-point All-Stars of the season, but still leaving a lot on the table there. 23 riders were able to score double points. Pair that with the 12 All-Stars that maxed out, and we had the highest amount of riders being able to score 26 or more, and somehow we all still missed at least one. The second highest batch of 0-point pick trend, 1 out of 3 teams had at least 2 zeros, led by low handicap 250 hotshots, Jordan Smith and Mitchell Harrison. In the ROTOMOTO League for Arlington 3, R. Kerr J99 led the way with 291 points, which shows that even a blind dog can find a bone. R. Kerr is buried in the back half of the league, but managed 291 despite Marvin Muskin bringing home only 3 points. DM912 reclaims the top spot in the season standings, sitting at 2,833 with 5 rounds to go. Shame he didn't sign up for the Industry Idiots League, as he would be sitting in the top 5 right now. I had my 3rd rough round in a row, and I am wanting to wipe Arlington off the map altogether, accumulating 5 zeros in a single digit over that span. But I did nail 6 of them to cash in 216 this last week, a modest return to form that I had hoped to build on. Wish I could have Eli and Cooper for ATL1, but needed to secure that bounce back here. The ins and outs list is not as different as expected. 4 young 250 riders returned to action, and I expect to see high pick trends for both Pierce Brown and Styles Robertson. Schwartz and Cantrell are both on that Bar X Suzuki team and are looking for their first action since the first West Coast round in Orlando. What was confirmed is that both Martin brothers will miss the entire rest of the Supercross season, as will Jordan Smith. The rest of the guys are all hopeful to return at some point, but as of now, no timetable available. The 450 class will see the return of Benny Bloss, Justin Bogle, and Adam Enticknap after the break. KTM has not confirmed the fate of Marvin Muskin, so he may very well be a game time decision. Brayton will miss another one, and Osborne and Cianciarulo are going to go ahead and sit out the remainder 5 rounds and hope to be back in full force for the outdoor season. For I believe the very first time this season, there will be no all-star changes. All 8 returned from last week, and in general, all of the handicaps are pretty tight as everything eventually regresses back to the mean. I think the remaining 5 rounds are going to be hard fought and won by smart picks and dodging the big one. I will do a full weather report later in the video, but before we get to the picks, I just want to say that there is a high chance for some slop and mud for the first round this week. If you're picking an early team, it might not be a bad idea to plan accordingly and put veterans, factory bikes, and outdoor guys on the track. With that being said, all of the picks that I'm going to give you in this video are going to assume that the weather is going to be fair or better. Remember last time we thought it was going to be a definite slop fest when we woke up, and the track couldn't have turned out to be more prime. All right, on to your Atlanta 1 picks. I have 3 guys to target, 1 to avoid, and a high handicap guy for you gamblers out there. Starting with the little class and working our way up, your first is 250 All-Star Pro Circuits Cameron McAdoo at a 2 handicap. I also highly recommend Justin Cooper in this spot, but he was the number 1 highest pick trend last round, and I wanted to feed the majority of the field here. Cameron leads the class with 4 podiums in 5 races, and a second in average finish with 3.6. If not for his 3-spot position penalty, he would actually be tied with the best average finish of a 3.0 and has won every single heat race but one, ensuring he gets a great gate pick and stays out of trouble early. A 250 guy that is eligible for double points that you should look for is Chase Owen. The PulpMX Yamaha rider is one of only 2 non-all-stars that has raced at least 4 races and has transferred directly out of the heat in all of them. If you watched my 10 tips video, you know the best way to get 8 in the main is to pick a team full of guys that have a legitimate shot coming out of the heat, and Jace is perfect despite him having a relatively high handicap. He opened the season with a career best of 10th and almost matched that with an 11th right before the break. Moving on to the 450 class, your all-star suggestion isn't really an endorsement, just something to think about here. Cooper Webb is a -1 all-star, and a few people in the Patreon exclusive RotoMoto Discord server take offense to that idea because you can't max out at 26. Hear me out. That's a valid concern, but only 51% of all-stars that raced the heat in 450 class actually scored 26, and only 58% of them scored 23 or more. The average all-star not named Cooper Webb scores only 20.9 points per race. Even at a -1, Cooper has that beat 75% of the time this season. Your ceiling is a bit low, but unless you are playing for single race high scores, those 3 points are not going to make or break your season. The rider I want you to shy away from this round is Kyle Chisholm. Look, Chiz is going to chiz and has a perfect 12 for 12 streak going on right now, but his handicap has hit a season low of 6. Just 1 better than his season best finish of 15th, which he has done 3 times. Just to put that into perspective, if he matches his absolute best race pace of the season, he would still only manage 28 points. And if he is just 2 spots lower, finishing 17th, he would score only 12. This class is tough to pick as everyone is kind of gravitating towards their average finish, but Chiz's value seems to be all but gone here. Every round I choose a high handicap hero for the race. This is a rider with a handicap of 10 or more that I think has a high probability for a good chunk of points. If you are ready and willing to sweat through a little LCQ action to get there, I'm once again here asking you to please consider picking Cade Clayson. There seems to be a hotbed of trendy guys to pick in that 12 to 13 handicap with Clayson, Starling, A-Ray, Hartraff, Morans, and a debuting Josh Hill, and all of these guys are going to be very trendy picks, but only one of them has made 5 of the last 8 mains and 3 of the last 4, and was this close to making the last one. And now that his handicap is back up to 12, even a first lap DNF would still secure him double points. The 250 FFL finally has a favorite. After 5 rounds, we finally have a 2-time with Justin Cooper leading wire to wire for the 2nd time this season. I don't think the other 3 guys are anywhere close to being pickable, so it's really just Cooper or bust at this point. In the 450 class, Kenny finally snags his 2nd FFL of the season, the 4th rider to do so, but Cooper Webb still has the most on the season with a 3 and the best average starting position of 4.8. This puts him as a clear favorite for FFLs until further notice, but I'm even less confident about sending it with him than I am the 250s. Be cautious with this one. As you can tell by the graphic, the weather is a bit frightful. Riders will wake up with a decent wind and a high probability of wet grounds. This area will see rain pretty much all day before clearing up just in time for the race to end. Again, plan accordingly. Make sure your early team is full of guys that can handle some rough conditions. The race day schedule is very early, with race day live at 9 a.m. on the East Coast and local, with the West needing to be up and Adam at 6 a.m. to tune into race day live with Blair and Hubbard. The enhanced cheat sheet will hit Patreon about 30 minutes after that at nearly 1 p.m., while the rest of you should watch Twitter and Instagram for the basic cheat sheet to drop around 1:30 p.m. The day show kicks off at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on both the Peacock app and NBCSN for a live broadcast immediately following the 450 podium ceremony. You are welcome to join us right back here on YouTube for the RotoMoto After Show program, a 1-hour live show where I field your questions and comments in real time, and we come down from the race highs together, break down the score stats and moments of the race. Before I show you my way too early team for Atlanta 1, I just want to remind you that this is an entirely privateer operation. I research, write, shoot, edit, and post every single video myself, in addition to making the cheat sheets and the other content I post on here, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to support me and help the channel grow, please consider checking out some of the merch from RotoMoto.co, including our super rad Never Change AMA shirt that was recently featured on the PulpMX show. If you are serious about upping your fantasy game, consider subscribing to Patreon for access to an additional podcast for every race, our private Discord server, and most importantly, the enhanced cheat sheet that is packed full of so much race day data, it'll make your head spin. And if you want to support but don't have the scratch to spare, the easiest way to help is by subscribing to the channel, commenting something constructive on the video, and sharing the social media posts with your friends. All right, my Friday morning team will consist of 250 All-Star Cameron McAdoo at a 2 handicap. I have Jace Owens 6 handicap paired with a returning Pierce Brown at a high upside -1, and Rockstar rookie sensation Styles Robertson at a 2 handicap. The 450 side, I'm looking at Cooper Webb. Yes, even at a -1, although that's my most likely to change. I have Chase Sexton at a -1, but also this time eligible for double points. Big rig Benny Bloss with all that upside in 11. In my 4th spot, I have currently penciled in with Joey Savachi, but that is not going to stay. I just wanted a safe pick holder until I find out the situation of Bogle and Muskin and how they look returning from injury. Don't forget to follow at RotoXMoto on Twitter and Instagram for qualifying insights, injury updates, stats, and banter as the race day goes on, and of course those ever important fantasy cheat sheets. And if you want even more help making your picks, be sure to check out and subscribe to RotoMoto on Patreon for access to the enhanced cheat sheets, chock full of more data than you can imagine to help you make those huge point picks. I want to give a shout out to the current Patreon supporters. This channel is made possible by good people like Andre C, Greg F, and Cody D. Thanks as always for watching RotoMoto. My name is Donnie, and I will see you on race day.